oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We've got another aviation accident, and this time it's in the capital, Washington, D.C. This is absolutely terrible what's going on. It looks like a regional jet, possibly with as many as 68 passengers, has collided with a military helicopter. I'm going to go through some of the evidence that we have right now. It looks like, first and foremost, that the plane that was involved was an American Airlines plane. This is what we currently believe. Waiting to verify all of this information. The FAA did say, though, that this is PSA operating flight 5342 for American Airlines. It departed Kansas, and it was a Bombardier regional jet which collided midair with a Sikorsky H-60. That is the Blackhawk helicopter, apparently or potentially either a police helicopter or a military helicopter. It's unclear exactly which it is. The first Reuters report was that it was a military helicopter. Some people say it was a police helicopter. Multiple agencies here responding from 3 different states in the area. You've also got Ted Cruz announcing that there are indeed fatalities. Donald Trump has been briefed on this, and they're working on a response right now to save as many lives as possible. Search and rescue continuing right now. But let's take a look at what appears to be the potential traffic data. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about the airport and give you my opinion on potentially what happened. So first, let's take a look at this. This is sort of an ADS-B exchange sort of flight path here. You can see this happened at about 1:47, 1:48 Zulu time. You can convert that to your own time frame. It's about maybe 50 minutes ago as of the time of this recording. But anyway, what you're going to look at here is you're going to look at, let's pull it to the beginning here. We're going to look at the plane right here. And this right here, which is actually a helicopter showing up as a plane right here. And that appears to be the impact site right here. So if we sort of naturally extend the path that this plane is on, and we have some webcam footage of the actual accident as well, if we extend what the plane is doing, the plane was destined to land at this airport. It looks like the plane was expecting to land on a runway 33. That's because you'll see this. I'll zoom in on this in just a moment, but I want you to see that lineup for runway 33. And then pay attention to where that helicopter's coming from. It's coming from the park area, and it's flying right over the final approach region here of the airport. So I'll talk about my opinions in just a moment about what's going on here. You also do, in fairness, have an Air Force base right here, so you certainly would expect to have multiple controllers. You've got a military Air Force base right here. You've got a commercial airport right here. So it's unclear if this helicopter was coming in for a landing here, but it actually looks like, and I'll show you the webcam footage, that the plane likely descended on top of the helicopter on its approach to runway 33 right here. A little bit of a lag in how those end up updating on that footage there. But let's take a look at what that setup looks like here and then try to break down what's going on. The airport is currently shut down via the temporary flight restriction and NOTAM. Fully shut down. And it's expected to be shut down until at least another hour here, but likely longer. Right now, it's just listed until 8 p.m. PST. You can see that there on the side. I'm going to get that webcam footage up for us as well, but it does look like this PSA Airlines flight departed at 5:22 p.m. If this is indeed the correct flight, it appears to be based on what the FAA is saying. But please verify this. It looks like this flight departed 5:22 p.m. Central Time and crashed at approximately 8:48 p.m. Eastern Time. You can see here it indicates landed 6 minutes early, but it, as we know, did not indeed land. Let's take a peek here and then try to understand or surmise what potentially happened here. So it looks like the helicopter was here at East Potomac Park. And helicopters, they don't have runways. They can use a runway to land, but they usually use taxiways to land, or they just hover essentially straight down. And then we have what is at least listed as an Air Force base here. In fact, you could see here, this is the Marine One hangar. So this appears to be a military helicopter pad right here. You could see the squares with the multiple different pads there for helicopters to land. And then you could see right here, runway 33. And so if we go into ForeFlight here, we'll be able to do a little bit of understanding of potentially what could have happened here. So we could see that runway 33 is currently closed there on the right. I'm blocking that a little bit there. Let me remove myself. We can see that runway is closed right now. We can also see ForeFlight indicating that was at least presently, is the best runway to use for wind purposes. And it uses a left traffic style approach. Which means that this, we'll take a screenshot of this here, and then we'll draw out what this potentially looks like. So stand by one moment while I pull that up. But this is devastating, and we're going to give you an example here using a model of a plane of what I think may have gone down. This is obviously just breaking, so there is always the possibility that as new information comes out, what actually happened differs substantially, and it's unclear how many people have tragically lost their lives here, so we want to be very respectful and careful here. But let's take a look at this, and then I'll show you the webcam footage. So take a peek here. This right here is what a left traffic would have looked like for a jet. You would have come in for a final like this, and typically you would have likely an extended base over the Potomac River here. We could even go into ForeFlight to see what kind of approaches we had, if they were using an actual instrument approach, or if they were just proceeding to this airport visually. So in other words, they'd come in, and then you'd make your left turn. Obviously, it wouldn't be on this 90-degree angle like this. It'd be more like this. Now, this is very important, because as that plane turns towards the runway, it is really, really difficult to see what is below you. And that, I think, is where the oopsie happened here, in addition to, obviously, an air traffic control problem. So let's use this one for a moment. It's a little up close here. So consider a plane for a moment. When a plane makes that turn and then lines up for that runway, it's coming down and descending like this. It's really difficult to see what's right below you. You're really relying on air traffic control to tell you, hey, you're clear to land. And actually, let's go to this camera. There we go. All right. So if you're coming in to land like this, and there's a helicopter coming in from below, you might actually land right on top of that helicopter without even realizing they were there in the first place. Now, this is an air traffic control issue in part. It's also potentially a pilot oopsie-doopsie, given that pilots also have traffic on not only their consoles, but I personally, as a pilot, keep an iPad with the traffic up all the time. But there's a lot going on right before landing. And you also generally don't expect a helicopter to all of a sudden enter the active runway final flight path. So let's take a look at that webcam footage, and you'll be able to get an idea of what this looks like and how what I described might be exactly what happened. This right here appears to be departing traffic. I want you to look right here at this being what looks like the landing traffic right here. You can see how low that plane is setting up on that runway. And in just a moment, there it is. You see the explosion of a collision between that plane and a helicopter. Now, both of them then plummet to the ground. This is now the zoomed up version. And right here is what I want you to pay attention to. You see those two dots right there? Those appear to be the positioning lights or the strobes of the helicopter. Note there is another strobe right here, which appears to be a tower or some kind of beacon on a tower. But what I want you to see right here is you could see, as I'm moving left and right, those two circles on it's sort of the left of the really bright circle. You could see how this plane here is clearly taking off. This is the one coming in for the landing, runway 33. Here's the tower beacon. Here's the helicopter. And you'll see that helicopter is below this landing traffic. So that landing traffic just came out of a left turn. So in other words, if you're coming out of a left turn, the helicopter's, let's say, coming from this direction, sort of where you are at the camera, right? And they're turning this way. Well, look at how the cockpit is. It's actually away from where the helicopter's coming from, right? You come in for that turn, then you level out. Okay, great. But now, can you see what's below you? Not really. Because look at where the positioning of the windows are. It's very, very, very difficult to see what's below you in a plane. So what happens here? Well, as you go forward, those two flashing lights we're paying attention to do what I believe is fly directly under that plane. In a helicopter, it's also, you're usually not expecting people to land on your head, so you're kind of not doing this to look for traffic. Again, there should have been air traffic control from both the military facility and the airport here. Maybe there was a comms problem, right? Maybe they're on different frequencies. We'll speculate about that in just a moment. But here you go. There's that last flashing light you see right there. That's just the strobe. And there it is, right under that plane. There it is. And then the collapse. This is really tragic. Obviously, this just happening now. But my take is, in terms of how this could have happened, it is entirely possible that the helicopter was on an entirely different frequency, because there would be a tower frequency that the airplane was on with. Hey, whatever this tail number was here, I'll pull that up again just so I have it handy. Clear to land, runway 33. And they would have read back, hey, flight number, or they probably would have responded with American 5342, clear to land, runway 33, number 1, right? So they're like, okay, cool, we're clear to land. We're coming in, we're doing our landing checklist. Do we have the gear down? Are we buckled up? Are the flight attendants sitting down? We're coming in for our landing. And so they're probably on a frequency isolated with DCA, KDCA, the DC airport. Whereas that military helicopter is probably going to go land where Marine One is, and for some reason, they're going on, they're taking a different path inside, or I have no idea what they're doing, but they intersect with the landing pattern for left traffic, runway 33. And when they do that, rather than landing up here where that base is and that facility is, for some reason they extended under this flight path here, and that's where you have the kaboomskis. And it's bad. Reuters now reporting that 60 passengers were scheduled to be on that jet, which means you've probably got 2 pilots, 60 passengers, call it 2 stewardesses. You probably got about 64 passengers on that jet. And then, of course, I would guess at least 2, probably 3 individuals on the Blackhawk, likely military helicopter. But anyway, for some reason, that military helicopter, who was likely on, we'll just for the sake of making this simple, we'll call it, frequency 300, okay? So we'll put them on frequency 300, and we'll put them on frequency, 125, okay? Just for giggles. They're over here probably on a digital frequency talking to their air traffic control, and DCA is over here talking to them on an analog frequency, let's say 125 or something like that. And you probably don't actually have these 2 pilots having any means of talking to each other. So with the exception of actually looking at their ADS-B broadcasters, they wouldn't know that traffic is there. And usually there's so much to do in these jets, they usually listen to air traffic control and assume air traffic control is watching out for them. Now, I always say it's bad to assume air traffic control is watching out for you, but I've been with maybe 7 different flight trainers before, and they've all told me, oh, no, that's ATC's job. And I'm like, I don't know, man, I'm triple checking, okay? I panic when it comes to seeing traffic. But then again, the problem is you don't expect a helicopter that's here to end up under your flight path either. And again, visually, you just wouldn't have been able to see them right after that turn. As you're turning out of that turn, you basically landed right on top of them. So to me, this is a failure of the helicopter not to stay away from that flight path, and B, an air traffic control failure on both the part of the military and the part of DCA. I do not believe that this is the fault of the plane. Obviously, more details are going to come out, and we're just speculating based on a webcam video here, so there's a lot of risk of incorrect information here. This is just where I'm starting my collection of thoughts from. I want to watch this happen as closely as possible, or unfold as closely as possible, and I hope as many people as possible can be saved, because this is yet another tragic aviation disaster in America, which is heartbreaking, is absolutely heartbreaking. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Why not advertise these things that you told us here? I feel like nobody else knows about this.
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes.
Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Kevin Paffrath there, financial analyst and YouTuber. Meet Kevin. Always great to get your take.